Martial orders. The Protectorate's military relies heavily upon elite forces drawn from the Menite orders allied to the Temple and its priesthood. By tradition, the martial orders have autonomy over their own membership, and the heads of these orders answer only to the ruling priests. Upon receiving the dictates of the hierarch and the synod, it falls to the leadership of that order to convey these instructions throughout the ranks. However, forces drawn from these orders often directly serve individual warcasters or priests and are assigned to specific armies or the garrison of a city or town under the authority of the priesthood. In such cases, the individual in charge conveys orders to the senior-most officer, who then commands the subordinates. For example, a warcaster legion interdiction includes both the Knight's Exemplar and the Temple FLAMEGUARD might interact primarily with the ranking Exemplar Seneschal and the FLAMEGUARD captain, each of whom would be then entrusted to handle the disposition of their respective forces. The Temple FLAMEGUARD. Once solely charged with protecting temples and holy places, the FLAMEGUARD has been transformed over the last generation into the standing professional army of the Protectorate of Menothe. With shield and smoldering spear in hand, they marched to battle in unprecedented numbers, forming the core of the theocracy's garrisons, as well as bolstering its crusading armies. Commanding absolute loyalty from her soldiers is Feora, the priestess of the flame, and head of the Incendium, the priestly order charged with the administration and spiritual needs of the FLAMEGUARD. The capital of Emir hosts the Incendium central headquarters, but the order's priests operate throughout the command structure of the FLAMEGUARD. Members of the Temple FLAMEGUARD began as Novietes and devote 6 months to initial training, during which they rigorously drill in the use of their armor and weapons and receive training in maneuvers and formations. Afterwards, they are initiated into the FLAMEGUARD and are assigned to a garrison or a crusading force. A veteran FLAMEGUARD may be promoted to Arms Master and given command of his own unit. A veteran Arms Master may in turn be promoted to Preceptor and given charge of a detachment of scores of spearmen. Secular officers seldom see promotion beyond the rank of Preceptor. Next up comes the captains, who each command a phalanx composed of up to 100 soldiers. Commanders oversee large garrisons of multiple phalanxes with thousands of FLAMEGUARD and answer directly to the Priestess of the Flame. The order has several branches whose members serve distinct roles. FLAMEGUARD cleansers are the disciplinary arm of the FLAMEGUARD, and safeguard of purity both within and beyond the Protectorate's boundaries. Led by Malachus, the burning truth, and wielding flame-spewing purifiers, the cleansers sanctify the hereticals with gouts of purifying flame. The Daughters of the Flame are an elite and incredibly specialized group drawn from the widows, daughters, mothers, and sisters of fallen Menite soldiers, and were originally charged with the covert security of Menite holy places. Over time, Feora has begun to call upon the Daughters to eliminate threats from the Protectorate, both internal and external. The Daughters are organized into small strike forces called Hands, each led by a veteran captain. Though the Daughters employ a number of solo operatives, they lack any additional structure. The order is commanded by Thera, Flame of Sorrow, who answers directly and only to Feora. Incendium priests serve as the highest-ranking officers in the FLAMEGUARD. They hold ranks identical to other priests, but are not eligible to become scrutators. Some of the Hierarch's agents believe that the members of the Incendium have become more loyal to Feora than to him, but they have not yet acted against said individuals. The Knight's Exemplar. Devoted to carrying out the will of the scrutators, the Knight's Exemplar first came to prominence during the Thousand Cities era. The order, defined by its code of absolute obedience, now comprises the preeminent warriors of the Sul Menite Temple. Those who weather intensive training dedicate themselves to serve as Menoth's living weapons on Cain. Their sacred oaths absolve them from any harm inflicted in the pursuance of their orders, which allows them to serve the scrutators of the Protectorate without question. Newly invested exemplar knights are honored with blessed weapons, such as ancient relic blades and sacred armor that have been passed down through the generations. Putting aside all considerations of their past, including any family ties, the Brotherhood is bound by the strongest of bonds. For a knight, the order becomes his true family. The majority of the exemplar knights are trained to fight on foot, focusing on expertise with the blade. The order is quite large, however, and has several smaller disciplines with distinct roles, like the heavy armored bastions, the errants, who serve as the order's far-reaching advanced strike force, and the vengers, who serve as the Protectorate's heavy cavalry. Exemplar knights began as initiates and undergo many years of harsh training to become full knights. Veteran knights may be promoted to sergeants and charged with leading smaller detachments. The most accomplished and fanatical sergeants rise through the ranks, first becoming wardens, who lead phalanxes, then seneschals, and ultimately high exemplars, the highest rank entrusted to command largest numbers of knights, including full interdictions. The leader of the entire order is the Grand Exemplar. Though Mikhail Kryas was promoted to Intercessor, he also still holds the title of Grand Exemplar, and these roles and duties are considered cumulative and distinctive. As Grand Exemplar, Kryas oversees the knightly order, and as Intercessor, he speaks with the authority of the hierarch and can overrule leaders of even other martial orders. The Order of the Fist. The Order of the Fist is a group of monastic warriors who undergo strenuous and extensive ascetic regimens meant to refine their bodies and minds. They seek to internalize the message of the true law and to become an empty vessel for the will of Menothe. Over the course of their training, they learn to perform singularly miraculous feats of strength and physical control. Although deadly with their bare hands and feet, some allegiants of this order employ weapons in battle as well. Since it began, the Order of the Fist has served to maintain order within the population of the Protectorate. With their emphasis on unarmed fighting and requiring no special armor or vestments, allegiants easily blend in with the general population. In this way, they serve as an unobtrusive secret police force in towns and cities and complement the efforts of the scrutators in rooting out heresy and sedition. Allegiants study the strength of stone and the fluidity of sand until the application of deadly force becomes as natural to them as breathing. Though belonging to a relatively new order, allegiants consider their fighting style to be an evolution of the ancient teachings gleaned from the first city of antiquity, drawing inspiration from some of the most ancient passages inscribed on the walls of ancient Ichthyr. They learned their techniques at the order's secluded monastery in the Warmahordes province. Members began as initiates and generally endure a decade of training and immersion in the order's philosophies before being recognized as allegiants. Those who become particularly skilled may eventually become senior allegiants, then high allegiants. The leader of the order, the Grand High Allegiant Harvan Graydon, has held his post since the order's inception and has worked with Garrick Voyle, the former hierarch, in creating the martial order used by all allegiants. The Order of the Wall. The Order of the Wall is the oldest but smallest of the Mennonite knighthoods, an organization dedicated to preserving the faithful from the perils found outside of civilization. Its philosophies and fighting style are thought to embody one of the most vital of Menoth's early gifts, the wall itself, which stood between the light and the darkness. While battling the enemies of the faith, the Order of the Wall stands alongside the other martial orders, but its paladins prefer to defend the faithful rather than marching to war. However, the Order recognizes that protection sometimes requires the fire of faith to be wielded against those who embody destruction and chaos. Most paladins believe the origins of the order can be traced back to Valant of Thrace, the priest king who founded Cilicia in 2800 BR. Though Valant's great wall has long since fallen to ruin, Caspia and Sul endure, and the order considers these cities to be the most sacred places, and the walls themselves to be relics of the faith. The paladins of the order have long been heroes to the common people, seen as embodying the protective aspects of Menov that's sometimes neglected by the clergy. Indeed, the order has endured a difficult relationship with the priesthood of the Protectorate because it is one of the few martial orders that answers to a code not rooted in obedience to the priest caste. The Secretator caste came to view the Knights Exemplar as more useful tools, causing the Order of the Wall to suffer a long decline. Relatively few young Protectorate warriors can temper their rage with the mercy required to be of those who wield the Order's blessed firebrand blades. Paladins, forbearance and protection of the innocent, which can put them at odds with the Secrutators. But so long as they do not openly interfere or defy the hierarch or his agents, they are left to their ancient code. The Order experienced a recent revival in popularity and widespread support after Signar invaded Sul in 606, and efforts by the Harbinger have ensured that it will likely always have a place, even if small in number. The Order has a limited rank structure. An exceptional knight may be recognized as a high paladin, serving as a senior officer of the Order. The master of the Order is the Grand Paladin, who oversees its membership from Sul. The current Grand Paladin is a man named Trenton Bolridor. Auxiliary Militia and Levies. In addition to the martial orders, nearly a third of the Protectorate's population is capable of being armed on short notice, and stands ready to fight as members of the Auxiliary Militia and Levite Zealots. In most cases, they are trained in the use of simple weapons such as staves, maces, and short swords. The most disciplined and well-trained of the militia are the Deliverers, who drill in the use of their rockets and are prepared to stand in support of regular soldiers like the Temple FLAMEGUARD. Zealot mobs are drawn from the most fanatical citizens and are led by priests who inspire and command them in battle. Joining the auxiliary are bands of Idrians, tribal groups dwelling throughout the Bloodstone Desert. Many Idrians were converted to worship of Menov during the reign of Hierarch Lutine. Under the Hierarch's guidance, the Protectorate brought the fires of conversion into the parched desert, taking in all who would accept the word of the lawgiver, and put many others to the torch. While not every Idrian is a devout worshipper of the Creator of man, many have given up their former heretical beliefs and have embraced the Sul Menite religion. Many practice a slightly modified variant of the faith, a devotion the Secrutators actively discourage, but have never managed to eradicate outright. Idrians often fight alongside their Sulese brethren as irregulars and scouts. Leading their war bands are Raz, the foremost warriors of their tribe. For the citizens of the Protectorate, service in a time of crusade is compulsory, and the clergy has issued quotas for able-bodied men and women to fill the ranks of the auxiliary fighting forces. Initiates in the Orders of the Fist have proven adept at rounding up and enlisting those who have not demonstrated devotion and piety expected of a citizen. Nonetheless, the continual immersion of the populace in religious doctrine makes it easy to gather large numbers of willing zealots and soldiers from all ages and press them into service.